Okay. Call to order the February 26th, 2024 North Beach Board of Appeals meeting. First order of business is staff report from the zoning administrator.
So I was a little late getting that done. Or I just had it called up. So my staff report is for the three projects requiring variances. One is going to be 3919 Fifth Street. The second will be 8912 Bay Avenue. And the third is 4013 Sixth Street. All three are going to be requesting side setback variances.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Anything else you need to share at this point? Okay. Okay. So we'll move on to the second order of business is case 2401, application for a vacation rental for 4036 9th Street. Susan Reel, I think was the name of the application. Is anybody here representing Miss Reel, or is she online? Oh, you muted? You may be muted.
Yep, sorry, I've unmuted myself. Yes,
There you go.
hello, I'm Danielle Reel on behalf of Susan J. Reel trustee.
How are you?
I'm well, and yourself this evening?
Great, thank you. So do you just want to say anything briefly to the board about your request?
This property recently came into my husband and brother-in-law's possession as their mom passed away. So they would like to turn this into a short-term rental, just since it's been paid for, to kind of see how things can go.
Okay. So for these vacation rentals, I have to ask you a standard set of questions. So just answer the questions to your best of your ability. And I apologize in advance for these. So first one, will granted the special exception for this property be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare?
No, it would not.
Will granted this special exception be harmonious in character with other properties in the neighborhood?
Yes, it would.
Will granted the special exception substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood?
No.
Will granted this special exception impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties?
Can you repeat that one again? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Will grant of the special exception impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties?
No, it would not.
Okay. Are there adequate utilities, access, drainage, and facilities for the property?
Yes, there are.
Will pedestrian and vehicle traffic associated with the property be hazardous to or conflict with the existing traffic in the neighborhood?
No, it would not.
And last one, does the property conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it's located?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm assuming it's all been inspected and everything's good there, okay? Anybody on the board have any questions or any comments they want to make?
I just had one comment that was on the inspection report. There was a blank for a chimney, but there is a chimney on the property. Was that chimney inspected?
I can double check.
It's not something that we would reject. It's just something that I noticed on the inspection report. It's blank there and there is a chimney on the building.
I know previous owners of that house, that chimney was like the boiler.
It's in the back.
Yeah.
So it looks like they might have switched over to heat pumps, so it's probably inactive anymore now.
I'll have Donnie go by and double check just to look so we get so at least the sheet's correct.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only comment I have. Otherwise I'm okay.
Thanks, Fred.
So I saw on the application that you have one parking space. How many parking spaces do you have out front?
So there's the one parking pad, if you will. I know previously and also when we have gone to visit, we've parked right out front of the property as well by the gate. So that, as if you say one for street parking, but it'd be one actual parking space and one on the street immediately in front of the home.
Okay. And, are you going to limit the number of cars or let them know there's only 2 available and otherwise it's at will?
Yes, that's what
And-
we putting in the posting, to limit on there for that reason. So the neighbors on either side also have adequate parking, on the street as well as their parking pad. So we would limit and confirm with them that there is only this parking space.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the street's not, Ninth is not like a super packed one like some of the other ones, but that one, that particular area does have a number of cars, so
Mhm.
just making sure. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks. Anything else? No? Any discussion? Before I go into that, I guess I'll open up to the floor. Does anybody in the audience have any comments about this proposal? And if you do, please make sure you state your name and your address and your concern briefly. Okay, not hearing anything. Don't see any hands going up. All right, any discussion among the board? Or anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve this vacation rental for
We have a motion.
item 24-01.
We have a
I
motion to
second
approve. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I second the motion to approve the special exception for short-term vacation rental for 4036 9th Street.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
You do the same. Okay, moving to case 2402, application for vacation rental for 4040 9th Street. The proponent is Christopher Wilson. Is Mr. Wilson present? Mr. Wilson, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just any brief comments for the board before we get into the routine part of it?
No, I just have a copy of the listing if you need to see it. I do have one on 7th Street, so feeling pretty good on that one.
Okay.
4041 7th Street, so it's all ready. I do need to do some landscaping a little bit in the back, but otherwise the interior is all in much better shape than when you expected it.
Yeah,
At least it's furnished and it was painted and carpeted then, but it should be ready to go.
It looks good, yes. Okay, so any questions from the board for Mr. Wilson?
Well, it's actually for Rick. The inspection report has a diagram or actually a picture of the circuit breakers on it. Is that irrelevant for any reason?
Yeah, that was on there so that we could let Mr. Wilson know to have their electricians. I think the previous owner had some sort of a charging system,
Backup generator.
backup generator, and it was exceptionally old. It's actually a boat panel, I think, that was.
Yeah, it actually had a plug. Well, yes, true. I think that might have had something in a wheelchair. We assumed it had an electric wheelchair.
Yeah, and it had some sort of a charger. That was more for the new property owners so that they could make sure they had it addressed.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fine.
Anything
So
for you,
I'm
Jeff?
assuming that's been addressed then?
Say again, please?
So that has been addressed then?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, just because that does sound like a safety issue. So I guess I have the same question. Oh, you have 4 on-site parking spaces. My goodness. Okay, so there's no problem there.
There's actually gravel underneath the grass. So you can drive right through to the alley. I got rid of the old, the shed was full of termites, the one in the back. Pulled that out of there and,
He had an RV camper at one point.
oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's what the one. We got rid of some of those stumps and there was 5 stumps, 5 big stumps. It's that tree, but we try to, it was a little late in the year to do any fine tuning to the lawn, so that'll be this spring.
Okay,
But all the major stumps are gone and we'll make it look a little better this spring. But
excellent.
I do have grass seed planted, so it's growing and stabilized. The stump removal.
Jessica or Fred, any other questions for you? Before I ask Mr. Wilson these questions?
Good.
Okay, so just have to run through these 7 or so questions for you. Will granted special exception for this property be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare? Will granted the special exception be harmonious in character with other property in the neighborhood?
Yes,
Will grant of the special exception substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood? Will grant of the special exception impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties?
No.
Are there adequate utilities, access, drainage, and necessary facilities for the property? Will pedestrian and vehicle traffic associated with the property be hazardous to or conflict with the existing traffic in the neighborhood?
no,
And lastly, does the property conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it's located?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to open it up for public comment. Anybody have anything they would like to add to the record or ask Mr. Wilson? Anybody? Okay, quiet crowd tonight. Okay, so anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve 24-02 4049th Street for vacation rental.
We have a motion to approve.
I second.
For a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. When did Tessa join, or did I miss that?
About 15 minutes ago, 10, 15.
Okay, hi there, I didn't realize you were on.
Hi.
Good. Okay, congratulations,
thank you.
Mr. Wilson. Okay, so Rick, you said your number 1 variance, you had 3919 Fifth Street is the first one?
No, I don't know, oh yeah, so
Did
we
you,
had previously they were previously scheduled for the Board of Appeals. And when I had done the staff report at that time, it was going to be the first one, but we had to cancel that meeting.
okay,
And so it was just left at the top, so we can go in order here.
you're okay with just keeping the order that we
Yeah.
have on here, okay. Okay, so first, case,
What?
We'll get all your license to you this week.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
thank
Have a
you,
good night.
have a good night. Moving to case 2403, application for variance with terms of ordinance for 8912 Bay Avenue. The proponent is a Michael Murphy. Mr. Murphy is requesting a reduction in the side yard setback from 8 feet to 2 feet. Is Mr. Murphy online here?
I believe it's, is it 8 feet to 2 feet?
Yes, good evening. I'm online. It's a request from 8 feet to 6 feet.
6 feet,
All right, what did I say?
2 feet.
Oh, I'm
Said
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. 8
Yes,
feet to 6 feet, you're correct. Mr. Murphy, how are you doing?
I'm very well this evening. How are you?
Great, thank you. You want to tell us a little bit about what you're planning to do and why you need a variance?
Sure thing. So my wife and I are purchased 8912 Bay Avenue recently in late October, November, and the current house there is unsuitable. So we're looking to build a new property, a new home on site for my wife and I, our family, and for my in-laws who are elderly. So when we're putting all of the plans together for that home, we realized on that 50-foot lot, we'd really need 38 feet in order to accommodate their living space on one floor as well as an elevator. And we feel that the variance is reasonable, given the neighborhood. And we're hoping that all of the boxes have been checked, for the feedback from the planning commission in order to get, a clean look at that from your board this evening. Open
Okay,
for questions.
thank you. So just maybe a question for you, Rick. It looks like on the one side, the house is definitely within the existing house is as close as 6 feet, if not closer on the one side. Is that
On
correct?
the one side, I would think the existing house is probably closer to 4 feet, 4 feet to the property line.
That's what I thought.
Um, and I don't believe it's not square on the lot either.
So on the north side, they've got an existing setback. It's less than 8 feet for sure. How about on the south side? It's
South side, it's more than 8 feet,
currently more than 8 feet.
currently more.
Okay. Okay, do any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Murphy?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
First, on the topographical map, if you zoom that in, it's showing a proposed concrete pad and proposed steps on the exterior of the building on the north side. I'm presuming that's hopefully just a rendering and not what's going to actually happen, because everything else looks like they're not there. But this actually says proposed concrete pad and a proposed staircase on the exterior of the building on the north side.
Yes, Mr. Noble, I think that might be a previous rendition. Those stairs have moved, to the east side of the home, so they're no longer on the north side.
Okay,
Therefore, they're not encroaching upon that variance request location, if that answers the question.
right. I'm okay with that, yeah. Question number 2, you're going to put in a mulch bed with the leaching process from the rain barrels. And it says 3 to 5 feet on center. I'm presuming that means it's going to be between 3 to 5 feet wide. Is that correct?
I may have
Says the
to, yeah, go ahead.
mulch bed will be the 3 to 5 feet on center, and I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I do have my builders on the line. I'd have to take a look at that closer. Is the question a concern about the encroachment on the variance, or?
No, I'm just questioning,
what are you getting-
the what is the 3 to 5 foot on center mean for that mulch bed?
Let me take a look at that.
This is Scott. I'm the builder. I don't see that, but I don't have a copy of that plan, but I think the engineers designing the the stormwater runoff, et cetera, based on the codes and the county requirements. I mean, we're just going to follow whatever we're supposed to do as far as managing the stormwater. So I don't know if that's a mulch bed or a.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where I found that, but it actually said the mulch bed will be 3 to 5 feet on center, and I didn't understand what that actually meant. And along the same line, is the mulch bed going to go right to the property line?
I don't believe so. No, I'd have to talk to Wilkerson, who did that engineering for us, but Rick, you should have that on hand, that engineering plan. I don't
Yeah,
believe
I'm
that was-
looking at it. I'm trying to find note number 2 on the site plan.
So Mr. Murphy, relating to what Fred's initial question was about the north side of the property, I just want to be clear. Is there going to be any part of the structure that extends into the 6-foot setback that you're requesting? So is there any overhang or any decking going to be put on the north side of the property into the 6-foot setback area as proposed?
I do not believe so. There's no decking. There are no stairs. I'll I have Scott on the line, our builder.
No,
about the-
no,
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 I don't-
everything's gonna be within the setback.
Okay,
So we're not gonna encroach over the setback.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure no part of the structure was extending into the setback area on that side. Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know.
I think I have an answer for his mulch beds. So
Yeah,
where
the
they're
concept
talking
would-
about the 3 to 5 feet on center,
Yeah,
they're talking about the plantings of the shrubbery and
okay,
So
oh,
it
all
would
right,
be-
okay, so they're actually talking about the plantings, not the mulch itself.
correct. So there'll be 50 plants using low growing evergreen shrubs, woody deciduous plant materials, and they'll be 3 to 5 feet on center of the mulch beds.
Okay, all right, now I understand that. And then the mulch bed going to go right to the property line, and the reason I'm asking that is you're going down 6 inches, that's not very far, but if you put a mulch bed in right on the property line, then the neighbor's soil is gonna slough into that area. Because it's the, you know, it's the weakest point and the neighbor's soil will actually slough into the leach bed. Unless you have some sort of a barrier there. Granted, it's only 6 inches, but just a thought process.
Yeah, I think we can accommodate that. I see that might be an issue. We wouldn't wanna do anything to upset the neighbors. So, yeah, I'm sure we can figure something out, maybe a little border of some sort to hold the mulch.
Yeah, they'd probably keep the neighbors happy.
Yeah,
That's the only
totally
comment.
understandable.
Okay, any other board members have any questions?
I do for Rick. Rick, can you remind me what the proposed lot size and variances would be? I remember for the smallest size lot, it was gonna go down to 3, and then where did we go from there?
And then we went to 5 feet at 37.5 foot wide lots. And anything that was over that, you guys were looking to stick with the 8 foot. Those are what you were proposing.
And I remember that there was gonna be no option for variance on the 3 foot. Was there gonna be options for variance on the other 2 ones or no?
What do you mean when you say the 3 foot?
So you had decided the 3 foot was gonna be what you were going with the 25, but you guys hadn't really finished discussing, nor had the planning commission finished discussing how far they wanted to take the other variances. I think they kind of
Okay.
wanted to leave it open so that each individual case could still be looked at individually as opposed to as a whole. I think the smaller lots were the,
It was
Ones
just
you were-
the last.
yeah. And
Okay.
they had not made that decision yet. I do have some another bit of information for the mulch bed. What they're proposing on the water quality management plan is covering over 1,500 square feet, so they're actually over what they needed to do. So they
Right.
still have a little bit of room to play if they need to take some of the mulch beds and make them a little smaller.
Okay,
So the water quality management plan,
And then I have one more question on, we covered the north side of it, if there's any overhangs. And then I'm assuming that's the same on the south side. I see a small vent and that's it.
yeah, from the drawings, it looks like there's nothing on either side, either the north or the south side.
Correct.
Okay. So just the stairs in the front and the back then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, so I'd like to open it up. Can you show this, the Zoom screen? I'd like to open it up. If anybody in the audience has any questions, please identify yourself and your address and any brief comments or questions you might have for the proponent?
I know the phone number at the bottom, 410-610-5970 is Grace Mary Breed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello? Okay,
Can you
thank
hear
you.
us?
My name is, yes, I can, thank you. My name is Grace Mary Brady, and I'm the president of the Bayside History Museum. And we would just like an opportunity to document the outside and end of this, and the interior of the house before it's demolished for history. So that's my request.
Mr. Murphy, did you care to
Yes,
respond?
we have no problem with that. We encourage the museum to come by, and we'd be happy to let them in and take as many photos or video as they'd like to. No problem.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Okay, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience? No? Okay. Move to discussion from the board. So, you know, we do have these. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the north side. You know, I think we've consistently allowed people to place their new construction in the same proximity to the side yard as, you know, existing structures are currently located. So I think the north side is certainly within the realm of what we've allowed before. And, you know, it seems like they're actually improving the north side compared to what's there now. So there's that. As far as the south side, I'm open to other suggestions.
So,
Anybody
I mean,
have
it looks like they're centering it on, yeah, it looks like they're centering it on the lot, and
Yes,
it's supposed to be 6 on both sides, right?
that's correct. That's what they're requesting.
So, I have a separate question on here. I can't quite tell from all the pictures. Maybe I need to add up the numbers. What's the height on this one?
I did have that question because,
I can answer that. So this was discussed at the planning commission as well. The house is showing scaling slightly higher than 40 feet. The planning commission has spoke with the builder, and this will have to go back to the planning commission. And so they realize the house will have to meet the 40-foot height requirement.
okay, and has the planning commission made any
Road-
recommendations as far as this? Hang on, Fred.
No, they were leaving the setbacks up to the Board of Appeals. They didn't have any opposals to it, but they didn't.
They didn't
Yeah.
voice any opinion. Okay, interesting.
On the height, we agree that we would, if we had to reduce the height of the building to meet the requirements. So the architect made some adjustments.
Okay,
I think
If
the
you could
lot,
certainly
I think the
Put that
lot,
in your recommendation that the planning commission revisit the 40-foot height.
or we could just stipulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rick, this is Mike Murphy. We did provide you with the new plans with the 40-foot building height. Did you receive that?
I did not get them.
It was under 40 feet.
Okay, we have it at 40 feet, and we'll re-forward that. We forwarded it a few weeks ago, so I'm surprised to hear that you didn't receive it, but we'll re-provide it again.
Double check. Hold on.
Right. So I mean, board can keep in mind that, you know, that can be a stipulation of approval. I mean, for that matter, any
Right.
height could be a stipulation of the approval, you know. But yeah, we can make 40 feet, part of the approval, assuming we're going in that direction.
Yes.
So I don't really have any
I want to add,
immediate issues
I
with,
did receive that email back at the end of the year. It was in December. So it had, the emails had gone away, but I do have that new one and I will forward that to, I'll forward that to the board as well.
What were you saying, Jessica?
oh, that I don't have any particular issues, I don't think with the 6 feet. They're centering it. I mean, it's
Thank you.
it's a 50-foot lot. They're gonna have 6 feet on either side. It looks like that they're gonna take care of the mulch thing that Fred was talking about so that the neighbor's yard and their yard don't blend and float together in the rain. And they don't have any obstructions there. I would say that obviously on any placement of rain barrels, make sure that emergency responders could still get by if necessary, but 6 feet seems like plenty.
I agree. And Rick also just showed me the plan where it's clearly indicated it's a 40-foot limit on the roof. So,
Yeah, I think what happened, Mr. Murphy, is all my emails from the end of the year went into a different folder the way I've got it set up, and so I didn't see it, but it was sent at the end of December.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Crump.
I
No
do-
worries. I'm glad it made it through. It's all good.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
any other comments or any suggestions for moving forward with this?
I can make a motion if you'd like me to.
Go for it, Brad.
I make a motion that we approve 24-03 8912 Bay Avenue for the setbacks contingent upon the planning commission approval of the height of the building.
Okay, we have a motion to approve contingent on the approval of the height of the building. Do we have a second?
I will second the motion to approve the 6-foot setbacks at 8912 Bay Avenue with the planning commission's approval of the 40-foot or below height restriction, so that it's in compliance. Just want to be
Okay.
specific there.
Yeah, it's good to include the setbacks. So we have a motion and a second to approve the setbacks to be reduced to 6 feet on either side and contingent on the 40-foot limit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, Murphys. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for the team and thank you for Mr. Crump for all of your guidance throughout the process. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So we will keep it for the planning commission in March.
Yes.
Okay.
Could you hear that? Mr. Murphy, did you hear that you'd be going in front of the planning commission in March?
Yes, sir. I heard that. We have, we'll have
Okay.
it on our, appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, moving on to case 2404, variance for 3919 Fifth Street. The proponent is Scott Properties. They're requesting a reduction of side yard setbacks from 8 feet to 3 feet on the east and west sides of the property for construction of a replacement dwelling. Is Mr. Scott or Mr. Montgomery here? I see Mr. Montgomery's online.
And Mr. Curtin is here also. He's the representative for Scott Properties.
Okay, and Mr. Curtin, sorry, I didn't see his name on here. Somebody like to make a brief presentation about what they're proposing to do and also why you need a variance?
How you doing? Nick Montgomery from COA Barrett. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, basically there's an existing house on this property. The west side of the existing house is just about right on the property line. We're replacing the house. We're proposing to replace the house with a structure that'll be centered on the property, and the side setbacks we're requesting are from 8 to 3 foot on both sides, the east and the west. We meet the front setback along Fifth Street and also the rear setback from the alley, 15-foot wide alley to the south. The house also meets the I think it's the floor ratio, or no, excuse me, open space floor ratio, area ratio. And it also meets the height limits for the town. You're in the R1 zoning. Height limit is 40, and we're actually at, it's 36 on one side, 35 and a half on the other. So the average is about 35 and a half feet on the front Fifth Street side of the house, as far as the building height to the peak. We have proposed, excuse me, rain barrels with planting beds at all the downspouts for the house. The existing property has one off-street parking space. We're proposing has one on-street parking space on Fifth Street. We're proposing to put a driveway in with a garage. We'll have one off-street parking space. And then in front of the lot, it'll still have the one off-street parking if somebody wanted to park in front of the driveway that resides at the house. There's access to the property on both the Fifth Street side and on the back side. There's a partially constructed alley along the south side of the property where emergency services could also access the property. The proposed house is going to be on a walkout basement. It slopes down to the rear, and the front of the house will have a porch with a roof overhang over the parking, continuing the porch roof line. On the rear of the house, we're proposing a 2-story porch on the back side of the house that'll be accessed from the first floor and the second floor. And that's pretty much it. I guess if you guys have any questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Stacy, could you pull up I think page 5, the packet with the plat on it? Okay, any questions for Mr. Montgomery from the board? While we're thinking about that, Mr. Montgomery, what's the width of the existing house on the property?
Site plan?
That right there, you got that's what I was looking for.
Is that the one you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Montgomery, if you're talking, you're muted.
The width of the existing house is just over 18 feet.
Okay. And just to be clear, you're requesting to build a 19-foot wide house?
Correct.
Okay. Any board members have any other questions?
What is the placement of the rain barrels?
What is their placement, or you mean where is the placement? I'm sorry.
Where is the
Okay.
placement?
On the back side of that house, they're on the back side of the house on the south side. In the front, they're on the west side. It's going to be located on the side of the house because we couldn't locate it in the front where the driveway is. And then on the east side, it's located, it's right on the wall line. It's tucked in next to the stairs in the front side of the house, of the porch.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the symbols on the plan. If you look at the second sheet, you can look at the right side of the sheet where the water quality management plan is. And there's, it's kind of like a donut symbol instead of the shrub symbols around the planting beds. There's 4 of them total.
Yeah, like little donuts. Yeah.
Now, can I inject a few things?
Go right ahead.
Again, I'll ask the question about, is the mulch bed going to go right up to the property line? And if so, it's going to be 6 inches deep. There will go some sort of mitigation of earth sloughage into from the opposite property line, or the opposite the property beside it.
Well, these are just normal mulch planting beds. They're not supposed to be 6 inches deep retaining water up against the foundation of a house. So they should be actually elevated, not creating a ponding situation or next to the foundation of the house. But yes, they are going to be on the sides where they are adjacent to the house and adjacent to the driveway and the porch. They will be up against the property lines.
Okay, so they're gonna be elevated above the mean level of the ground as
they'll
opposed to
be-
being dug down under.
Yeah, well, they won't be dug down to pond, but they will be either flush or slightly up.
Okay, all right, okay. Let me inject one thing that has nothing to do with the side setbacks that, Rick, I'd like, I guess, to present to the whole town as well as the owner here. You've got 3 feet distance from your property, from your edge of the house to the property line, and then there's, it looks like there's only about 2 or 3 feet over to the other house. Is that about right? To their foundation?
That's correct. The house to the east is roughly about 2 feet at its closest point at the front corner where the deck is.
So you have basically about only 5 feet distance between the houses, plus or minus.
Basically, yeah, at that front corner on that adjacent lot.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, my concern is for water management. Cleaning the gutters is so important. You've got a major amount of tree overhang on your property that you're gonna have literally hundreds of pounds of leaves falling every fall. And with that little grate that you've got on the downspouts, that's not going to stop those gutters from totally getting clogged up. Getting a ladder up there is virtually impossible with only a 5-foot width. If you look at the specifications for the distance a ladder should go out, it should be 1 foot for every 4 foot of elevation of the ladder. So there's virtually no way to clean those gutters the way they are right now. I'm not a salesman for gutter guards, but I'm convinced that within 2 or 3 years, you're going to have overflow of water out of those gutters down under the ground because they're going to be totally clogged with leaves. And it's all because we no longer have cottages. We now have 30 and 40 foot high buildings. I'm going to presume that the gutters are going to be around 30 feet. And I'm just a little concerned that of what's going to happen 3 or 4 years down the pike when all this water starts gushing down to the line on the land right between the 2 buildings. And I'm pretty convinced that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, currently on the west side of the existing house, it sits right on the property line. It's only 3 feet away from the neighboring house. I don't perform maintenance on the property. Maybe Jared, I don't know if he actually helps with the property maintenance out there, but he could probably respond to that better than I could. You know, the difficulties they've had of maintaining the houses.
Yeah, it's not something that we, the board, can approve or disapprove of. I'm really addressing it to us as a town of these new buildings that are going in that are 30 and 40 feet high. There's virtually, with such a narrow path between the buildings, there's no way you can get a ladder up there safely. And therefore the gutters will never be maintained. You can't get a cherry picker in there. There's just no way to get those gutters cleaned.
Hey, Fred, maybe you can ask a council member to take it back to the council.
He is, Mickey, are you there?
Yeah. And
Is that
I know
something?
that's one of the things that we want to come up with, and I know once the comp plan review, generally there's a zoning look at, all kinds of things. And I know this has been one of the heartburn issues for the Board of Appeals is how tight these are getting, especially with roof overhangs and everything. So,
Yeah, because you really need to clean the gutters out every year when you've got tree overhang. And this property has about a third of a roof. Maybe a little less, maybe a quarter of the roof has tree overhang. And all those leaves are just going to dump right onto the roof and then slide down into the gutters, and they're going to deteriorate, and it's going to turn into a muddy mess. And the water in about 2 years will start just cascading over the gutters, unless they're properly maintained. So it's not, like I said, it's not an issue for us, but I think it's an issue for the town. Yeah.
Okay, thanks,
So,
Fred.
this is Jared Curtin, representative of Scott Properties, but Nick, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe one of those trees in the front yard is going to be removed. Maybe that is what you're referring to with some of the foliage that you're worried about falling into the gutter, but we do have a roofing company we work with. One of my responsibilities is basically general upkeep of all of our properties, and having them clean gutters where we have houses that have a lot of trees is one of the things that they do very often. So I wouldn't foresee that being an issue of getting 30 feet up. I know that they carry 40-foot ladders, but and I understand what you're saying about having to have so many feet behind as you go up to angle your ladder, but that is a responsibility for the roofing company. I don't
Well,
think.
no, it's a responsibility of the owners. The roofing company is just a contractor. It's a responsibility of the owners to maintain those gutters. How you do it is up to you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Curtin. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Curtin? Okay, so
Is
I'd like
that
to
just
open
from
it
the
up.
board or from the public?
So I'm just about to open it to the public. Would you like to enter a comment into the record?
This is Jim Byerly. So I'm the public, if you're opening it up for me.
Go right ahead.
So and personally, I'm glad to see that house, it looks like it's been vacant a long time. I'm at 9026 Frederick, so I'm just down the hill from those homes. So it'll be nice to see that something's done with that property. My concern is you're putting a big house at 3919. What is the plan for 3921 to the west and 9100 to the east? I believe Scott Properties owns both of those as well.
You want me to answer that?
Can either of you answer that question?
So 3917 and 3919 are two, those are the white older cottages. 3917's already been approved. We were just waiting for 3919 so that both of them could be done at the same time, just to try and prevent any sort of prolonged event during construction. 3921, which is on the corner there of Fifth, we don't have any plans to tear down or rebuild anything. That is a two-story. That one is going to stay as is. But 3917, which is the one on the other side, could be rebuilt. That's already been approved.
And is that still going to be the 3-foot offset as well? So you'll have 6 feet between buildings eventually?
Yes.
Okay. And to Fred's comment, my concern is being down the hill from you. The drainage was going to off of those houses, especially if those gutters overflow, is coming into my backyard and my foundation. And so, any consideration you have and continue to have to do water management would be greatly appreciated.
I just also wanted to let you know that the house to the west on 3917 is actually going to be 5 feet from the property line, the one that's already been approved. So between the two houses, there will actually be a total of 8 feet.
Good
Okay,
to know.
thank
Thank you. Anybody else from the public have any comments or questions? Stacy, could you switch back to the view? Yeah, just in case. Thank you. Okay, doesn't sound like anybody else has any comments or questions. Board members? Thoughts on this? I mean, we've been over these a few times with these 25-foot lots. Rick made some mention of it earlier that we've certainly done 3-foot setbacks before. Sounds like sounds like they're gonna maintain a total of 6 on the one side, that down to the house on the one side, and there'll be a total of 8 to the house on the other side once they're ultimately rebuilt. Yeah. Any discussion? Any ideas about how to proceed?
I mean, I think this is in line with what we've been doing for small lots and what will hopefully eventually be put through as permanent. Because when you have those tiny lots, the only real choice is to either allow a smaller setback, or we start making lots unusable, and that's not good for the town either.
Agreed.
I mean, with Fred, I definitely worry about how close things can get. It looks like on this one though, with the way the roof is, that the majority of the gutters are a level below, the roof pitch, and then they come down. But I don't have any issues with it. And since the house next to us on a slightly larger lot and confirming to the 5-foot discussion, then, I mean, I think it all seems in order from my viewpoint.
I agree. Any other points of view, comments from the board? Okay, anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance for a 3-foot setback at 3919 5th Street.
Okay,
I'll
we have a
second that.
motion. We have
I'll
a
second.
motion to approve a reduction of setbacks from 8 feet to 3 feet. And Fred, did you second while I was talking over you?
Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Go back to the planning.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good evening.
No.
You too.
Was approved.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the last order of business, at least it's on the agenda, is case 2405, application for variance for side yard setbacks for 4013 6th Street. Proponents are Mr. and Mrs. Oh, I don't have it. Bennett, I'm sorry.
This is the one.
Okay, this is the one I didn't print out. No.
Can I pull it out?
Yeah, maybe Stacy puts it on the screen. Okay, Mr. Bennett, would you like to make a brief presentation for the board about what you're proposing to build and why you need a variance?
Thank you. Is everybody able to hear me okay? Or do I need to step to the mic?
The others have been okay.
I think you're good.
I think you're okay.
So a few years ago, we bought probably the ugliest house in North Beach, and we immediately tore it down. Through the town's pleasure and our neighbors, we're very thankful of that eyesore. It had been condemned, and hoarders and animals, it was just, it needed to go right away. I didn't want to wait. Fast forward to where we are now, we've worked with an architect to engineer a home. It has a garage, so it has plenty of off-street parking. The garage actually can go all the way through, so three cars could fit inside and one outside. Technically, if we wanted to do something like that, we probably wouldn't, but the water management has been done by a local company. I think much similar to some of the previous ones. It's roughly
Wilkerson Associates.
Yeah. The height is roughly around the same as the last one you just reviewed. It's around 38 feet, I think, is the height. Rain barrels. And it's a very pretty home.
Thank you. Um, any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Bennett?
One question is, there seems, is that the property that has the for sale sign on it?
Yes, sir.
So you're gonna build it and then sell it, or is he gonna, or what?
So we went down this road and we're seeing it through to the end. We're not sure what we're doing at this point. We're playing parallel options with us right now.
Okay, so you're looking at two options. One is to build, the other is to sell.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. On the elevation section that you show a garage on the property with a car in it. Is that what's going to happen here?
Whole first level is a garage and some storage.
So it will have a garage door?
We'll have a garage door on the north side and south side.
You looking at the plans, Fred?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the depiction on the right is just a clear view of the home. All the way to the left is the front door, and then the middle is the rear elevation.
Right.
And everything to the right is showing showing where your footers are going and the engineered flooring.
So but there's going to be a garage at the front and the rear of the building?
Correct.
The plans have doors on both sides, 'cause there's is there an alleyway behind?
There is.
Behind it.
But isn't that alleyway forbidden for motor vehicles to use that? Don't we have a prohibition for people using those alleys for part of their access to a garage?
And the garage is going to be, and from the back, it's going to be more of a shed. But there is a dwelling behind that they're using it as their primary parking right behind it on the south side.
But Fred, even if they didn't have access to the alley, they could still have a garage door in the back of the house if they want. I mean,
That's true. That's true. I'm just concerned that, the owner may then say, great, I can use the alleyway and I'll just drive my car into the back of the parking lot there and continue using it.
We have probably more than a dozen homes that have parking in the rear off of town alleys.
Oh, they're allowed? It's allowed by the ordinance?
So it says that they're not open streets for a regular thoroughfare, but the property owners have been allowed to use those for access. Garages have been approved with access on the alleys.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I just assumed that vehicular traffic was prohibited. Okay.
Yeah, I think that those signs are just for like daily traffic. They don't want people using them
The cut through, yeah.
as a regular thoroughfare.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that then. I didn't realize that.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Fred. Any other board members have any questions?
Well, I got another question here.
Hold on one second, Fred. Mr. Bennett
Okay.
has a comment he wanted to make.
Yeah, I don't think we stated the variance request. And I just wanted to make it clear, it's 3 foot on the east side and 2 foot on the west side. And the west side, the distance between the home on the west side is over 10 foot. I mean,
So, I'm sorry, can you restate, you're requesting?
so when we went to the planning board, we originally had requested 2 foot.
Right.
on each side. Their recommendation was 3 foot on the east side and 2 foot on the west side. That's the current ask.
And where are we measuring from? The corners of the property? The 4 corners of the building, I should say?
well, none of the building could infringe on that setback if we were to approve it. So Rick, as the planning commission made a recommendation on this,
So they didn't oppose the 2 foot on the side where there is a much larger lot that has, see the lot to the left, there's, roughly 8 feet between the properties. They didn't
I see.
oppose the shorter variance there, and they wanted the larger variance on the other side where the house is a little skewed and closer to the property line to create a little more distance.
okay.
Well,
Correct.
well, the question I have is that if you look at the drawings and the circular staircase at the rear of the building on the right-hand side, that staircase is actually impeding across a parallel line that you would draw along the edge of the house all the way up. And that's a permanent part of the building, I presume. So that's where you should be measuring that 2 foot variance from the edge of those staircase, not the edge of the house. Am I correct?
The circular staircase is within the circumference, within the width of the home. It doesn't protrude out.
Not according to the drawing. Look at the drawings. Draw a line right up the side of the house, and it looks like it's protruding at least 6-8 inches. Based on the scale that I looked at.
He's right on all the renderings, even just the pretty picture version. It does look like it's going over.
And it's probably the graphics that the architect was using in the picture.
You know,
There's no intention to go beyond.
right. If we approve it, I'm going to approve it conditional upon those drawings being corrected, and the actual staircase will stay within the bounds of the 2 foot variance. The drawings do need to be corrected, though.
Definitely.
Mr. Bennett agrees with you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about a 20-foot wide house instead of a 21-foot wide house. Based on the recommendation from the planning commission.
Okay. And of
Okay,
course,
so-
for the owner, I also have, the same question about the gutters and the problem of the overwashing of the gutters. But, again, that's for the town council to address.
I actually have a comment on that. You can place a ladder on the back deck and get on the roof very easily.
Well,
I always-
yeah, yeah, but are you going to clean the gutters all the way from the back to the front? That's where you clean gutters, is the whole gutter, not just the downspout.
I would recommend that the professional I hired access the roof from that balcony and wear safety equipment to adequately clean.
Yeah, okay. I'm all right with that. I'm just, a little concerned, that's all. It's not within our bounds to challenge it. I'm just questioning it.
We hear you, Fred. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board before we open it up to the public?
Yeah, I have a question for page 7 at the edge. It looks like it says proposed enclosed porch. That goes all the way to the property line.
So that's just where they could fit the wording. If you notice, there's an arrow that points to where it's at.
Shows
Okay.
87.5 square feet. That's where the
Got it.
screen porch is on the back of that.
Okay, I thought it was sitting inside that little block that was written in. Okay.
That-
So
No,
if
I'm-
you look at
got
the rear elevation picture, you'll see the screened in area right there that it's talking about.
It's just a
Okay,
little
I see it.
deceiving in that
Right
box.
behind the staircase.
No, that was one of the things I kept asking as well when I was going over the site plan. I kept saying, what is this porch at the back of the property? And then he made the arrow a little clearer.
Any other board member questions?
Now that I'm looking at the picture with the rear elevation, is this just a picture of a fence that's extending beyond the staircase? The spiral staircase on page 11?
I think those are just to represent property line and give reference. There's nothing there.
There's not, okay.
Okay, anybody else? All right, so I'll open it up for public comment. Anybody still on with us? Has any comments or questions? No, okay. All right, so turn it back to the board for discussion. So we got a couple things going on here. Looks like plans have changed slightly from the original proposal. And we have, well, we've approved a couple or few requests where folks have asked for 3 foot on both sides. And we've rejected some where folks have requested 2 feet on both sides. In fact, Mr. Scott had one rejected not that long ago. But honestly, I don't remember if we've had one split the difference before.
So I will put it out there. I don't think that any, and this is just continuing where I think and I hope that we're going as a town. I don't think that any lot should have less than 3 foot setbacks at all.
Well, that's what we had been talking about before, was kind of changing the standard for these narrow lots. Just to allow down to 3.
And as far as I know, the only one that's been approved, and I did not concur with that, was the 2.5 on the multifamily in the commercial zoning. I think there was some approved beforehand, such as that, like that tall, super tall blue one that's got commercial on the bottom. But since then, all of the residential that have come through have not been.
Right, and I mean, honestly, commercial is
A different
it's a different beast entirely, and you know we've allowed a lot of different situations in commercial properties, quite frankly, I think. So
I may speak on.
Mr. Bennett wants to make a comment.
Thank you. The home we tore down was less than 2 foot from the home. We're not, I'm only asking for one side is you're gaining a foot away. My neighbor Jen, she's on the phone, is gaining a foot from a house that she hated before, and the other side is going to be roughly where it was. I'm not asking for anything that wasn't there. I could have just left the house and gone through this, but I tore it down.
So,
Alan would like to make a comment.
oh, okay, let's shift to Ms. Holland. Would you like to make a comment?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Holland. I actually live at 4015 6th Street. I've met Daniel and his wife Leah. I thought originally it was going to be 2 feet and 2 feet on both sides, and he explained to me that on my side it would really be a 3 foot setback, which I am not opposed to. And as I explained to him, my only concern was when they actually get to building, like any foundation issues that could happen. But I am not opposed to a 3 foot setback. He was explaining that the other house that was previously there, and thank God was removed, was actually closer to my lot than what this new home would be.
Okay.
So, I mean, they've been great. They've, they took down North Beach's, one of North Beach's biggest eyesores. So if it is approved, I am totally okay with it. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm here, and if it helps them, I'm okay.
Okay, well, thank you for the comments. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe the house that was tore down was actually only about 14 inches off of the property line at one point.
Okay.
How tall was it?
It was a Rambler.
Because that's the thing, as we go through, they are taking houses that were like skewed or on the property line, but they're also building much larger houses instead. So we're taking up a lot more, and it makes the town look way better. It absolutely does. I just don't believe that there should be any residential setbacks less than 3 feet.
And roughly how long ago was the house torn down?
2020?
Oh, okay, so few years.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
not crazy about the discussion either about when you say, oh, it's going to be farther away from the other house because the other house, has more space on that side, because then we see the other house get torn down next door. And not saying this is going to happen, right? But your choice shouldn't be made on one house that then constrains another house because you gave that house almost no setback.
Right.
So, I mean, I get it kind of when it goes against the backyard or something, but otherwise you just got to assume that house next to them come in and ask for the same thing.
It could happen. I mean, this is why we talk about these things.
And the lot next door is a 50-foot wide lot.
Right. You hear that, Jeff?
Let me ask a question. Has there ever been within the R1 zone a 2-foot side setback allowed? Yes or no?
Many. All of Bay Avenue, just about. Most of Bay Avenue has 2-foot setbacks on those homes.
Currently they do, right?
Yes.
Right, but I'm saying for new applications, have we ever granted, since the zoning ordinances were put in place, have we ever granted a 2-foot side setback?
In the 9 years I've been here, there have been some that have been approved with 2-foot setbacks on both sides.
Okay, so the precedent has already been set, is what you're saying.
I think what has taken place is this discussion has happened many times. This isn't the first time that setback discussions have come up. And they've been left the way they are because previous boards, previous planning commissions have wanted to make sure that each property is looked at individually. So they had a little more leeway to look at properties that had extenuating circumstances. So the hard setback has not been established, even though it has previously been discussed by multiple boards. And it happens with all of them. The past few boards have gone away from a standard 2-foot setback to a more of a 3-foot setback, but previous boards did not.
Yeah, I mean, I do think every situation that comes in front of us has unique characteristics. I do think something we've been consistent with has been allowing houses that had existing setbacks that were less than what was required by the code. We've typically allowed them to continue. That it also typically involves situations where the building was still there and it was about to be torn down, as opposed to having been torn down for a while. Okay, so
I don't, see, I,
Do we have-
if the precedent has already been set, I don't know how we could reject.
But it hasn't, because we've also rejected a number
Fred,
of them.
right, we've approved, Rick's right. I'm sure we've approved a bunch. We've also rejected others that have requested 2 feet. I certainly know we've rejected others that requested 2 feet on both sides.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm not sure that there's been a, like I said, I don't think there's been a hard line precedent set for either direction. I think, as James said, each property has been looked at individually and then, you know, these discussions come up, but each case has been taken on its individual notes and um, those hard outlines have never been established and put into ordinance, even though they've been discussed, like I said, by several boards.
Yeah. The problem, of course, is if we say no, the landowner, the owner of the property has every right to file a suit and say, you know, hey, the precedent's already established in the town of North Beach, period.
But
And I don't see why a judge
they
and
could
jury
file an
wouldn't
appeal.
say, yep,
Well, they have to go through the appeals board
appeal.
first,
I know, they have to
Or-
go through the appeal process, correct?
right?
Right. Okay, at this
Okay, so-
point, I don't have a problem with the 2-foot setback based on the precedent that was set.
I still have a problem with the 2-foot setback. I think that, you know, they bought a house on a small lot, understanding how it sat. And we appreciate you taking care of that and planning a nice house, but I believe that setbacks should be maintained at 3 feet.
I would add that, and while I'm not in favor either way, it doesn't, I don't really have a say so in that. But to the point that each of these might be individual when you look at them. So if you look at that plot and you see lot 17 and 18, which is to the west, which is a 50-foot wide lot. The reason I say that lot is unique is because that is a individually owned duplex. So the people that live in lot 17 own their duplex. The people that live in lot 18 own their duplex on a 50-foot wide lot. So the chances that they both decide to sell at the same time and someone tears it down may not be as prevalent as if this was just an old single-family home that someone's gonna tear down and then try to build a new house on. So I think each one does have its own unique characteristics when they come before the boards. And so I think that that's kind of why we've never been able to iron out hard-lined setbacks outside of that 8-foot.
Yeah, I think, you know, the reality is the town council could potentially solve this problem for us, but I don't think
I would
that's gonna
hope so
happen.
eventually.
Eventually, I can see it happening, but I just think we're going to be faced with this again, for sure.
Mm-hmm. No question.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
So let's,
so
so
we've
we rejected
One-
one on Bay Ave, 2 years ago.
got, and one on Annapolis Avenue.
Mhm.
I don't have them all committed to memory. Tess, what, I'm just curious with, Fred and Jessica on opposite sides of this. What are your thoughts? Or which direction are you leaning?
Well, I already gave my opinion. I don't have a problem with the 2-foot setback based on the precedent.
Understood.
I think there can't be a discussion of precedent if we say that each one is an individual case.
There's certainly similarity. I know Fred keeps referring to precedent, and I don't know if that's the best term, but we have similar scenarios that each have their unique circumstances.
Yeah,
Hi.
I think the way I'm thinking is that, we'll have to view this each and every one on a case by case basis based on what is presented to us and based on, what we see in front of us. I mean, there may be something that's insinuating that may make me lean towards saying, look, I don't think we should go past, the 3 feet, but there may be some that I'm like, okay, everything I see here it aligns. I don't see an issue with it. I think that we can move forward with a 2 feet. So I think it is a case by case basis for me.
Okay, so I wasn't really talking about future requests. I was more talking about this specific request. I was just wondering.
This specific request, I don't see a problem with it.
Okay,
Contingent upon the staircase being within that 2-foot side setback.
Correct. And we get
I
a
have
new
that-
rendering of that as well.
I have those things listed. As well as adjusting the site plan to show 20 feet, not 21 feet, based on approval, what, that's what you decide.
okay, so. Where do we go from here?
Need a motion?
Do you have one?
I can make one.
Make it good.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we approve case 2405 at 440 6th Street from an 8-foot to a 2-foot side setback contingent upon the spiral staircase will be within that, will not encroach on that 2-foot side setback. And I'm trying to think what the B was, the
We will
21
receive a
feet.
new rendering. Yes.
Well, yeah, I definitely think that new drawings need to be done.
I know.
So I include that in the conditions. And then the 21 foot as well.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, but the motion is requesting for 2-foot setbacks seemingly on both sides, so I think we just have to vote it, because that, I can tell you, the 2 foot on both sides is not gonna fly. I'll just guess, but let's go ahead, let's put it up for a vote, and then we'll try again.
Okay,
But no, let's just, we should take, we have a motion and a second, so we have to take it to a vote. So all in favor?
Well, then I'm gonna say no on the side set, based on the side setback on the opposite side.
Do that. There's a motion and a second on the table.
All right, so, right, we have to vote it, because there's a motion and a second to approve 2-foot setbacks. So all
On
in
both
favor?
sides. All on both sides.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Aye.
Nay,
No.
yeah,
Nay, I'm sorry.
opposed.
Okay, so the motion is
It's
denied,
killed. Right.
reject. Okay, so,
Now let me rephrase it now. Let me re-motion it.
Hold on, go ahead. What was that?
no, I voted nay. Yeah,
Yeah.
He voted no.
How do you vote no on a motion that you make?
He changed his mind.
Right. Now, the side setback on the opposite side is at, is,
All right,
is
Fred,
re-
Fred,
Yeah.
withdraw your initial motion.
okay, I'm withdrawing it. It's been
Okay.
denied, so it doesn't make it, okay, I'm withdrawing it.
Okay, excellent. It's doubly denied and withdrawn. So I
Right.
think where you're going is you want to approve a 3-foot setback on the east side and a 2-foot setback on the west. Is that right, Rick?
Yep.
Well,
Right, and
is the new building going to be 3 feet on the one side? Or is it going to be greater than 3 feet?
It's going,
So it'll be 3 feet to the property line on the west, 2 feet to the property line on the east.
All right, then the
2
motion,
feet to
then
the
that's what the
property
motion-
line, just so we're
Right.
clear what we're talking about, 2 feet. It's really close.
So on the east side, it's 3 feet. On the west side, it's 2 feet. The building. As is proposed. Correct?
That's what the setbacks will be.
Okay. So I will make a new motion that we approve 2405 4013 6th Street to allow for a 3-foot setback on the east side and a 2-foot setback on the west side, contingent upon A, the spiral staircase not infringing on the 2-foot side setback on the west side, and B, contingent upon the drawings being redrawn for the spiral staircase, and C, contingent upon the width of the building being corrected.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
No. Okay, the ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Bennett. Okay, board, so I think, I'm glad Mr. Hummel is here to hear this discussion, because I do think it's important that the council realizes this, the dilemma that this issue causes, and, if there were some more firm guidance in the code as far as how they should be treated, I think it would be beneficial. So, just food for thought. Okay, any other matters the board needs to take up? Do I have a motion to?
I'll make
To
a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn the meeting.
We have a
Second.
motion, second. Motion all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you guys for joining tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Aye.
Aye.